What's up, everyone? This is your host, Ghost, coming to you live with another wonderful video. How is everyone doing today? Doing well myself. Oh, sorry about I ended a stream and then created this one. For some reason last night, my Rumble studio was not pulling up, so I wanted to ensure that I still was able to get a stream up and running, and it wasn't having to do it last minute or anything. So that's why I had to shut down a stream and then start a new one real quick. So yeah, it was kind of annoying, yesterday where I couldn't really get into my Rumble Studio to do my show prep and everything, and get everything situated. Sorry. I'm a fucking idiot. I think like a couple days ago, I gave a shout out to Rumble videos for retweeting my posts and shit, and now I'm just realizing that it's a Rumble parody account. So I'm a moron. No surprise there, really. But it's kind of funny, honestly. Anyways, not important. Anyways, yeah. So here we are. Sorry, I'm like, my sleep was shit last night, so I'm a little tired. Okay, there we go. All right. So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, we're going to talk about the Wisconsin governor vetoing a trans bill, a trans athletic bill. So we're going to look into that. I got the video of the veto, and then some more information on that. And then we're going to go. Then afterwards, we're going to go to Variety, and we're going to read about Steve-O talking about Bill Maher, who apparently refused to not smoke weed during their interview because Steve-O has been sober for 16 years, and he would like to do an interview, but he doesn't want to be around someone who is smoking pot. Apparently, that's what Bill Maher does now. And Bill Maher refused. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to read the article, and then the footage of a teenage kidnapping victim that was shot dead by police has been released. So we're gonna get some background on that, and then we're going to get some background on that, and then we're going to watch the video. So I just realized might help too. Sorry. We're gonna get some background on that, and then we're gonna watch the video in its entirety and give it a look-see. And then let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to. Oh, cancel. There we go. Pop out chat. Sorry, just getting a pop out chat for my Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Not important. Sorry. Try and get that done. It was being difficult because why not? Why wouldn't it be? Okay. Verified, make sure my sound's good. Anyways, so yeah, we're gonna look at the kidnapped teen in California that was shot dead by police. We'll give it, and then we'll get the background, watch the video, and then after that, we're gonna read an article of a UK couple that who's in the UK, whose council tried to force them to sell their 200-pound home, 200,000-pound home, sorry, uh, for asylum seekers. Sounds odd, right? That sounds weird to you, right? Apparently, that's what this elderly couple faced. And then, last but certainly not least, we're going to go over to Scotland. If you're a fan of the Harry Potter series, you may be interested in knowing that your favorite author, or not your favorite author, but the author, J.K. Rowling, could be investigated and arrested by Scottish authorities for misgendering people. We're going to look at that. So, that's the plan for the show today. Hope it goes well. Oh, all right. So let's get into it. So let's see. First things first. We're gonna watch the video of Wisconsin governor vetoing the bill.
When you veto something, you don't date it, you don't do anything, you just put not approved on the line. And we have now helped our kids, our trans kids. Thanks, everybody.
So there we go. So he vetoed the bill to help the trans kids, right? Now, what was the bill? Well, let's look into it. All right. So this is what the bill was. So this was yesterday, of course. So the Wisconsin governor vetoed a bill yesterday, that would have banned high school transgender athletes from competing on teams that align with their gender identity. Promised he would veto any bill that makes Wisconsin a less safe, less inclusive, and less welcoming place for LGBTQ people and kids. Okay. How is preventing boys from participating in women's sport less safe? I really don't understand this. Because, regardless of, we're not even going to get into the whole gender identity crap. I'm not. But let's just go off of biology. And we've already seen this happen plenty of times. With the swim teams, with, I think, some MMA fights. Every time you put a man that was, a biological male, regardless of their gender identity, they always end up kicking the woman's asses. And this is especially important with high school athletics, because high school athletics can, generally a lot of them will involve scholarships, and they go to the top people. Now, if you put the man who thinks they're a woman in with the women's teams, the girls' teams, and ends up decimating all the women because he was born a male, has been a male his entire life until, however long he's like, I'm gonna need chick now. Then he's gonna end up taking those scholarships away from women, which I think is complete bullshit. It really is. But so it doesn't preventing men from competing in girls' sports does not make Wisconsin less safe. And if you really care about inclusiveness, then what you should do is instead say, let's make a law that requires transgenders to participate in a separate category. So you got boys sports, girls sports, transgender sports. There you go. Like, why are we making this more complicated? Why are we making this to the point where we have to let males compete in girls sports just because they like to put on a dress? How about we just make a separate division. Is that going to be an issue? The bill had passed the Republican-controlled legislature, despite Evers vowing he would veto it from the moment it was introduced. While Democrats did not have the votes to stop its passage in the legislation, now Republicans don't have the votes needed to override the veto. Evers said in his veto message that this type of legislation harms LGBT Wisconsinites and kids' mental health, emboldens anti-LGBTQ harassment, bullying, violence, and threatens the safety and dignity of LGBTQ Wisconsinites, especially our LGBTQ kids. Evers vetoed it in the Capitol, surrounded by Democratic lawmakers, transgender advocates, the mayor of Madison, and others. Republican Representative Barb Dietrich, who sponsored bills, called Evers' veto disgusting and accused him of misogynistic and hateful position towards actual females. No, he just wants to score political points. He doesn't really care what's between their legs. His veto today clearly demonstrated his disrespect for women and girls, as well as for protecting their hard-fought achievements, Dietrich said in a statement. The bill proposed to limit high school athletes to play on teams that matched the gender they were assigned at birth. Republicans who backed the bill argued it was a matter of fairness for non-transgender athletes, but the bill's opponents argued there was no real issue with transgender high school athletes in Wisconsin. Okay, so if there's no real issue with it, then what's the problem with just ensuring that they can't do it at all? There's no big issue. Then what's the problem with ensuring? All right, then if there's no big issue, then let's put, everyone who was born a male as a male and everyone born as a female when competing. There's no real issue. And said the proposed ban was a form of discrimination harmful to transgender youth. No, discrimination would be preventing them from competing altogether because they're trans. But saying, like, look, you were born a male, you grew up as a male, you have the male bone structure, the biology of a male. You're gonna have to compete with the male. You can do whatever you want. You can run the laps in a dress if you'd like, but you're gonna have to compete as a male. The Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association requires transgender athletes to undergo hormonal therapy before they can play on the teams of their choice. For how long? The association policy is modeled after NCAA requirements for transgender athletes. Didn't they end up like... I could have sworn they ended up walking those back. I don't know. Could have sworn they ended up walking those back. But maybe I'm thinking of something else. Maybe I'm thinking of the women's swim team. At least 20 states have approved a version of a blanket ban on transgender athletes playing on K-12 and collegiate sports statewide. But a Biden administration proposal to forbid such outright bans is set to be finalized this year after multiple delays and much pushback. As proposed, the rules would establish the blanket ban would violate Title IX, the landmark Gender Equality Legislation Act in 1972. How? Gender equity. So if we're going to go with the gender that they were assigned at birth, as they like the term, or, how us normal people, what they fucking are, then the equity would be to put the biological males with the biological males and the biological females with the biological females. You know what's interesting? I don't hear or see many females that want to pretend they're guys going over to the guys' sports. You don't really hear that. What you really hear is the guys who pretend they're females going over to the girls' sports, right? Neighboring Minnesota has recently passed a number of bills that proponents says makes it a refuge state for LGBTQ youth, including a bill banning conversion therapy. Additionally, Minnesota lawmakers recently passed legislation that aimed to make Minnesota a refuge for transgender persons in general. Those pushing legislation forward said it would protect trans patients and providers of gender-affirming care from legal actions in other states. where such care is banned and restricted, creating a safe haven in Minnesota. Ghostwriter 314 says, "Who cares what demented snowflakes think? Why are we pandering to lunatics?" I agree, we shouldn't be pandering, but we should care what they think because we need to start combating what they think. And if what they think is, hey, we need to have males in women's sports because they like to dress up in dresses, we need to know what they think so we can combat it. So we need to start fighting that. The problem with conservatives and the right in general is we've lost or we retreated from the fight of, for lack of a better term, controlling the youth. The left is really good at using propaganda against the youth. That's why we have so much issues with kids talking like they're idiot, well, thinking dumb shit like, oh, there's no difference between males and females, so why shouldn't we have them in women's sports? Ghostwriter 314 says, I agree. We must confront this evil. Absolutely. We absolutely do. We need to start, at least conservatives need to start focusing on the culture. That's what leftists are really good at doing. They confront the culture. They go into the culture and they define the culture. Conservatives left the culture and tried to, I don't know, high and mighty it all. And it's not fucking working. That's why you have a bunch of propaganda. And, that's why a lot of, in my opinion, a lot of transgender kids aren't actually transgender. Most of them, I would be willing to say 99%, or not 99, 99% of them are either influenced by a teacher or they see it as a trend and think it is cool and a fad. Okay. And that 1% actually have this thinking of, have some mental illness thinking, oh, I'm actually a woman, even though I'm a dude. So that's our big problem. That's actually one of the good things that came out of COVID is a lot of parents started waking up to the fuckery going on in schools. That's why my kids are going to be homeschooled, not going to a public school. Even if I move, to a red state, all red, I'm still going to homeschool because guess what? A lot of leftists, regardless of what state you're in, are in the schools. So there we are. That's what's happening in Wisconsin. Wisconsin is crap. Don't live in Wisconsin. Or go to Wisconsin. Well, not go, but, citizens of Wisconsin, you think this is bullshit, then vote out your governor and vote in more Republicans. Republicans do a better job at campaigning. All right. Moving on. Oh, shoot. That was an accident. Don't judge me. So moving on. Getting away from that, let's talk about Steve-O. Now, if you don't know who Steve-O is because he lived under a rock and you're an idiot, Steve-O is very popular from the show Jackass. Jackass, they did a bunch of, crazy stuff. Steve-O's fairly famous from being put into a poop slingshot, which was basically a porta potty filled with shit and basically slingshotted around by two cranes, I think it was. And also putting a hook through his mouth and swimming behind a a boat while he was driving like he's a fish. That's kind of Steve-O. All right. So fucking Steve-O. He's also a big vegan and he's a big animal rights activist as well. Can't stand that show, way too gay. I like Jackass. I thought it was funny. Although, yeah, it was kind of fucking gay, honestly. It's way too many penises going around. But I thought it was pretty funny. And actually, I didn't watch the show. I watched the movies. So all 4 of the movies. So. All right. Steve was said on a recent episode of his Wild Ride podcast that he had to turn down a request to appear on Bill Maher's podcast because Maher allegedly refused not to smoke pot during the interview. Jackass alum Steve-O is 16 years sober. Maher is often seen smoking marijuana during his Club Random podcast interviews. I'm a clean and sober guy. It's very important that I maintain my sobriety. It's approaching 16 years, Steve-O said on his own podcast. I was about to be sweet 16. Really, there's nothing I value more than my sobriety. There's nothing more that I protect than my recovery. I found it kind of upsetting that the Bill Maher podcast reached out and he smokes pot the whole time while he's interviewing people. I said I'd happily go on there, but while I'm on, out of respect for my sobriety, could he refrain from smoking pot? He said no, that's a deal breaker. It's kind of weird, right? Like he's so addicted to pot. Bill Maher's so addicted to pot, he can't not do it one time to respect Steve-O's sobriety. It's weird to me. Steve-O appeared shocked that Maher would not forgo smoking marijuana for one interview, especially because Steve-O had appeared on other podcasts where the host was a marijuana enthusiast, but agreed to respect his sobriety. Mike Tyson's podcast is called Hot Boxing. Steve-O said, "Be real. All of these prolific potheads, I've been on their show, and it wasn't so important to them to blow marijuana smoke in my face. But for Bill Maher, it was a deal breaker. Because if Bill Maher isn't high, he's not very interesting. I'm assuming. Never watched the show, so I have no idea, or his podcast. By the way, Mike Tyson's supposed to be fighting Jake Paul in July on Netflix. Is anyone going to watch that? Because I sure as hell am." Variety has reached out to Bill Maher's team for comment. As Steve-O's story gained traction on social media platforms like X, some users pointed out that in fact that Maher had in fact respected his guest boundaries for marijuana in the past. During Sheryl Crow's appearance on Club Random, Maher told her, "That's when I need a joint, but I never light one up in front of you." He refrained from smoking in front of her. Maher recently announced the launch of Club Random Studios, a podcast network and entertainment. Has Bill Maher been fired from his network job? I really have no idea because I don't pay attention to Bill Maher. Maher recently launched the announced the recent launch of Club Random Studios, a podcast network and entertainment hub aiming to champion authentic from unfiltered celebrity voices. Besides Maher's own Club Random, the network's first show is the Sage Steele Show, hosted by Sage Steele. The network will partner the NBA Hall of Famer Kevin Durant for his podcast, KG Certified, while Smashing Pumpkins frontman Billy Corgan will get his own podcast as well. Limp Bizkit singer Fred Durst will host a show about UFOs and conspiracy theories. Watch Steve-O's full episode of Wild Ride, in which he talks about Maher in the video below. He's apparently talking with Patrick Bet-David. That's interesting. We're not gonna watch it. So apparently, there's some conflicting stories. Steve-O says, "Hey, Bill Maher said he would not smoke marijuana in front of me. I'm not going to do his show because it's really important to, that I keep my sobriety, going." And now apparently Bill Maher has shown in the past that he would respect guest boundaries for marijuana, and this was from Sheryl Crow's appearance. So now we got two conflicting stories. Now what we need Steve-O to do is show the receipts, because apparently they reached out. Bill Maher's team reached out. I don't know what Steve-O would gain from lying from this, but people lie for random shit all the fucking time. So I honestly have no idea if they would. If he would lie, but there's some conflicting stories here. Sheryl Crow was on, and he respected her sobriety, but he won't respect Steve-O. So I mean, say that what Steve-O's saying is true. Odds are that just means that Bill Maher doesn't really want to interview Steve-O, but his team felt required to ask for an interview. I have no idea. So we'll see. I mean, unless it gets a lot more traction, and that we're going to get much receipts on this. But let's say it's true that Bill Maher refused to not smoke in front of Steve-O. Seems really weird. Seems like, why do you need to smoke so goddamn much just to interview someone? It's weird. Pot just makes you lazy people. All right. So this apparently happened in September 27, 2022. And this was the teen being kidnapped by her father. She was apparently fatally shot by deputies as she obeyed their commands. And new video that has just been released yesterday sheds more light on it. All right, so this is the background, and we'll watch the video itself. California teen whose father was believed to have kidnapped her in September 2022 was fatally shot. Right, this happened. Okay, was fatally shot by deputies as she followed their commands. She didn't appear to be wearing tactical gear, as officials previously claimed. Newly released video shows. What the fuck? They claimed that she was wearing tactical gear. Okay, so what if she's wearing tactical gear? Why the fuck? Is she armed? Then don't shoot her. Savannah Garzino, 15, was abducted by her father, Anthony John Grazino, 45, after he allegedly killed his estranged wife, Savannah's mother, on September 26, 2022. The San Bernardino County Sheriff Office said at the time an Amber Alert issued for Savannah after a homicide was discovered, described her father as armed and dangerous suspect. When deputies found his truck, a car chase and shootout ensued, resulting in the deaths of Savannah and her father. After the shootout, Sheriff Shannon Dickus said that a person believed to be Savannah had gotten out of the passenger side of the vehicle wearing tactical gear, and the evidence suggested she was a participant in shooting at our deputies. However, newly released video from the incident doesn't show the teen in tactical gear, and it reveals she was obeying deputies' instructions to approach them. The video, which the Sheriff's Department released Friday to Southern California News Group in response to a California Public Records Act request, shows Savannah ducked down low and was slowly approaching deputies when she was struck by officer fire. Efforts to reach multiple members of the Gazzino family for comment on the new video was unsuccessful Tuesday. We're going to watch this video, but isn't it scummy that, public servants are able to just blatantly lie to you and kill an individual, citizen of the United States, blatantly lie about it, and no consequences ever really happen? I mean, are there going to be consequences? Probably not, even though it is California. A 911 caller reported seeing Anthony John Gazzino, suspect's pickup truck, in the area of Highway 395 and Highway 58 around Barstow, the morning of September 27, 2022. The sheriff's office said at the time, deputies located the pickup and chased it on the highway for around 45 miles. Throughout the chase, someone from the vehicle was constantly shooting back at deputies through the rear window. Dickus said, putting rounds through a patrol car's windshield and disabling a second patrol vehicle. The pickup truck became disabled on the shoulder of a highway in the city of Hesperia, and the shootout began. A passenger later confirmed that Savannah got out of the vehicle. Dickus said at the time of the incident that the girl was wearing tactical gear as she got out of the passenger's side and ran towards the deputies, and that she fell to the ground amid the gunfire. Deputies didn't initially realize it was Savannah running towards them, he said, because she was wearing a helmet and military-style vest. A new video taken from an aerial view showed the white pickup reversing before it drove on the shoulders of the road. A person got out of the passenger side of the vehicle as a voice from the overhead helicopter said, "The female Juvie is out. She's out of the vehicle. Does anyone have eyes on the vehicle?" Though the video was taken from a distance, Savannah did not appear to be wearing a tactical vest or tactical gear. The video showed Savannah took several steps towards a patrol vehicle, then crouched, paused. So several deputies were visible next to the patrol vehicle, firearms in hand. Seconds later, Savannah rose up, took a few steps, then her body is blurred in video, marking the moment she most likely was shot. The video and the audio is then heard saying, "Oh no," as a flock of more deputies rushed towards the nearest vehicle. Sheriff's office also released a belt recording from the deputies closest to Savannah as she got out of the car. He is heard repeatedly yelling, "Passenger, get out, and come here, come to me, stop shooting her, stop shooting her, he's in the car, she's okay, he's in the car, stop." Based on the audio, it appears Savannah was obeying the deputy's instructions to come towards her when she was shot. Deputies immediately administered medical aid, and Savannah was taken to a hospital where she died of her injuries. Her father was pronounced dead at the scene. Both Garzino and Savannah were struck by deputies' rounds and died of their injuries. An introduction to one of the videos said, according to the Press Enterprise newspaper of Riverside, which obtained the video, the California Justice Department took over the investigation into the shootings. The sheriff's office didn't offer any comments on the case Tuesday, citing the Justice Department investigation. The state attorney general's office referred to its original statement about the case when it was asked for comment. So it's been 2 years, roughly, almost 2 years. Has any cop been fired since the incident? Probably not. Any of the cops involved that actually shot this poor innocent girl? No? Interesting. All right, so let's watch this video.
Visiting and making contact with you guys.
If he gets in the desert. Hey, most likely, I got y'all. He's leaving and then no traffic, actually firing. Alright, dude, he just stopped. He's pulled off. He's making a U-turn. Left orbit.
He's exiting at Main, but he's using the on-ramp to exit and go the wrong way.
Watch these deputies. Hey, deputies, he's coming right at you on the exit.
Hey, you guys, he's going to lose control here as he goes up that embankment. Do we have units on Bear Valley?
He's stalling out. Alright, dude, get the 140, dude.
Everybody's on the right.
Dude. Let me know, no clear, open door.
That's gunshots.
Passenger, get out! Passenger, get out! Get out! Get out! Get out! Passenger, get out! Get out!
There she is. It doesn't really look like she's wearing any tactical. This is from a bit of a distance, so it's kind of hard to see. But that doesn't appear to be any tactical gear that I can see. And even if she was wearing tactical gear, she is apparently unarmed. So why are you shooting her?
Hey! Come here! Come to me! Come to me! Come to me! Come to me! Come! Walk!
Boom.
Hey! Stop shooting her! He's in the car! Stop!
Poor girl.
She's okay! He's in the car! Stop!
So look, hold on. Let's reverse that for a sec. All right. So she gets out.
Get out!
Okay, we're gonna slow this down.
Get out!
So she gets out. This is her right here. She stopped crouching. Probably because there's a bunch of gunfire going off. The cop is behind. So I'm assuming, this is what I'm assuming. The cop is behind the vehicle that's right here. The white one right here, just in front of the pickup. That's the cop talking to her. He's telling her, come here, because there's gunfire going on. And she wants him out, or he wants her out of the line of fire. So he's like, come here, because she stopped and crouched, because this is what she's probably doing. She's crouched, covering her head, because there's a bunch of bullets flying over her fucking head. And she's like, oh shit, I don't want to die. So I want to stop and, crouch. Like, hopefully they don't see me as a threat. So now the deputy is saying, come here, come here. And he's screaming because she probably can barely hear him because there's a bunch of gunfire going off on her, around her.
Come here! Come to me! Come to me! Come to me!
So she's being told repeatedly, come to me, come to me, come to me.
Come to me! Come!
Now she's moving, she's walking, because she's been giving a lawful order by a deputy, and then boom. So the video that's been blurred, that's when she apparently gets killed, unfortunately. Okay, so she is unarmed. Now, I'm sure there'll be plenty. Okay, hold on. Let's finish. So it's probably this cop here that was giving her the orders, saying, "Hey, come to me," and all that. It's probably this cop right here that's right by the front tire of the squad car. My assumption.
Stop shooting her!
He's even telling him, "Stop shooting her."
Get in the car! Stop! She's okay. She's in the car.
That's pretty lie. She's okay. She's been shot a bunch of times. She's okay.
Stop!
Also, these cops are fucking idiots because you got a bunch right here firing, and then you got other people here firing. They are in a giant crossfire.
All right, we have no movement. Stand by. Stand by. Watch your crossfire. Tell them to watch your crossfire.
Yeah, man, in the day before, I got traffic stop.
And I'm not going to criticize his deputies here for not going to her aid because they are currently still in the fight. They don't know if the guy is dead yet. And big rule in gunfights is you don't render aid. You continue the fight. I mean, you'll try to get an individual to safety while still continuing to fight, but you don't stop until the threat is down. And while they're not continually firing, they're still in a fight because they're this guy could just be waiting for his time and they're going to pop out and shoot. So no criticizing the deputies here at this point here.
Traffic stop just north of Main. Information crossfire. Be aware. Vehicles advising crossfire. Be aware.
Yeah, and AT, we got multiple units stop traffic.
Multiple units approaching vehicle.
Then you got two cops now.
Southbound, north of Main Street, stop traffic. Tell with the juvie, is she code 4? Is she hit at all?
That one went down. That's the juvie.
Vehicles advising the movement outside of the vehicle. Information.
So there we go. That's the footage. Now, all the cops that shot her should be fired. Okay, I don't care that I'm sure the pro cop people, and I'm generally pro cop. I'm sure plenty of the pro cop people was like, "Well, it's in the heat of the moment. There's a lot going on. They didn't know anything at all, and they're firing on instinct." Okay, maybe so, but I expect trained officers to be better than the average citizen. This is shit an average citizen would do. Accidentally shoot an unarmed teenage girl. That's shit I would expect from a citizen in a gunfight. I don't expect that from a cop. I expect better from a cop. The thing is they lied. The sheriff's department lied. She was wearing a tactical vest and helmet. First off, even if that were true, okay, which doesn't look like it, the video is from a distance, can't really tell, so maybe, But even if that were true, if she doesn't have a fucking weapon, then don't shoot her because she's not a threat to you. Okay? And as far as I know, there was no the department didn't say they were concerned about an S vest. Which, guess what? If you had an S vest is a suicide vest. One of those. If you don't, if you don't have a concern for that, even if you had a concern about an S vest, you still wouldn't shoot them because they might still explode. Okay. But the claim is she was wearing tactical gear, apparently, and then running after her, or chasing the officers. That apparently is a lie because it doesn't look like she's wearing any tactical gear. And she wasn't running towards officers. She walked away from the vehicle that was being turned into Swiss cheese. Okay. Stopped in the middle of it, crouched because she wasn't wanting to get shot. And then, when told by a deputy to come here, come to me, stood up ish and walked towards him like she was told. And for that, she was gunned down. I want all the cops that shot her, okay, to be fired. Actually, I would think a good, pretty much all the cops here, except the deputy that was doing his job and telling her to come to me. Every cop that fired that shot her, because guess what? They know who, they'll be able to tell who shot her, right? Because of the whole bullets and the barrels and shit and markings and all that stuff. So you should be able to tell who shot her. All those cops should be fired because they made a very poor decision by gunning down the victim of a kidnapping because they're fucking morons. Okay, so I'm very irritated and very pissed off about this. You gunned down an innocent girl, and then you lied about it. Okay, you lied. The sheriff's department lied. The sheriff should be fired too, or impeached, whatever you want to fucking call it. That sheriff should be gone because she, whatever the fuck, I can't even remember because I thought it was a chick sheriff, and then it turns out it was a dude sheriff. So whatever. The sheriff should be fired too, impeach, whatever we fucking call it, because he lied. He said she was wearing tactical vests. She was running towards our officers. Neither were true. Didn't look like she was wearing tactical gear. Even if that were true, she was still unarmed, and she wasn't running towards her officers. She got out, gained some distance away from the vehicle that was a bullet magnet, and then crouched and stopped and did not move until the cop, another deputy, gave her a lawful order to move forward. So this whole situation is complete bullshit. Those cops need to be fucking fired. Fuck them. Okay? You killed a member of the citizens without good reason. Okay? Without good reason. It would be another thing entirely if she was running towards your officer. She had an object in his hand. You couldn't really tell what the object was, but she was running and she lifted it up and you shot her. Okay? That would be a different story. I would be able to say, all right, that's reasonable that an officer could pursue that she was, running towards them with a gun and getting closer because she's a shit shot. So she wanted to get closer so she could kill more officers. That'd be reasonable. But what the footage showed was a scared girl who walked up, who made distance away from the vehicle, from her kidnapper, stopped, crouched, and then did not move. And when she did move, moved slowly. Okay? None of that gives me any reason to think that these cops had any reasonable thought of or fear of their life. So they should all be fired, except that, the cops on the right side, at least. They should all be fired, except the one deputy that was trying to do his job and tell her, hey, come to me. I'm here to protect you. Come to me. So, all right. I'm irritated. I don't like it when kids get killed by cops. I don't like it when anyone gets killed by cops, but I really don't like it when kids get killed by cops. It's a pet peeve of mine, apparently. All right, moving on. So this comes from the UK, and it's apparent, and this happened in February 14th of 2024, so a couple months ago. Our council tried to force us to sell our £200,000 home to make room for asylum seekers. Elderly couple horror after strongly worded letter lands on their doorstep. An elderly couple who have just moved into their 200-pound home, were horrified to receive a letter from their council suggesting the property could be subject to compulsory purchase and used to house asylum seekers. Josie and Ted Saunders said they were insulted and shocked when the strongly worded letter from the North Hampshire Council, which has never balanced its own books, dropped on their mat last month. That's hilarious. It said their neat mid-terrace in Rushton near Wellingburg was deemed to be an empty property or it was derelict, and the council could even force them to sell it. If it was an empty property and derelict, then why is it worth 200 pounds? Okay, whatever. I couldn't believe it, said retired carer Josie, 76. We moved to Ruston to help provide childcare for my granddaughter and found this nice little place to live. The idea of forcing us to sell it to make room for refugees and asylum seekers seemed totally wrong. Oh, here's a letter. Let's look at this letter. All right. We are writing as have reason to believe that the above named premise or land is empty or unused and that you are the owner. We would like to take this opportunity to find out what your intentions are for the premises or site. It may be that you already have proposals, but if not, we can give you some advice on options available to you to bring the premises site back to use. The government has identified empty private-owned properties as a potential cause of blight within communities and as a wasted resources at time of high housing need. It is setting targets for local authorities to require actions by them to reduce this problem. As part of this process, North Hampshire Council is identifying empty properties and sites within the area with the aim of encouraging owners to bring premises back into use or find alternative options for derelict sites. I'm already not liking this. You don't have the right to tell someone what to do with their own damn property. If they want to have it there as an empty lot, they own it. Fuck off. The resettlement team of at Northamptonshire Council supports asylum seekers, and refugees across 3 different projects: Home for Ukraine's Afghan Resettlement, Asylum Dispersal. At present, we are seeing a considerable increase in positive immigration decisions being made in favor of asylum seekers, mainly single men. Yeah, it's not a red flag. Once they are granted refugee status, they are given only 28 days to leave their home office, provided accommodations, and to apply for benefits, find work, and source move on accommodations. Due to the limited time frame and increase for private rents, this council is struggling to source suitable accommodations for this cohort. Why should you be accountable for that? The ideal long-term solution would be providing accommodations by using empty properties, which would benefit owners and the project. If it benefits owners, how? There are other ways in which we might be able to help advise and work with owners to bring their properties back into use by informal means. However, there are a range of measures available to the council to require owners of empty properties to carry out repairs to prevent them from causing a nuisance of neighboring premises and or take actions to bring them back into use. Well, this property was apparently in use because people were living in it. The letter headed Empty Properties and Sales Initiative had their exact address in bold and stated, "We are writing as we have reason to believe this." I just read that. I read all of this. It said the council could make a compulsory purchase order on the property. Northamptonshire Council has never managed to balance its budget since its inception in 2021. Council has said increased pressures from demand-led services has driven up costs. Added Josie, it was all the more worrying as we only moved in last November, so we still hadn't received the deeds for the house. Retired driving instructor Ted, 78, and his wife called the council and asked what was going on. 3 days later, they received an apology saying the staff has had mistakenly earmarked the property for possible compulsory purchase, but the Sanders were still baffled by the policy itself. What on earth is the council doing, forcing people to sell their houses, and even an empty house is owned by someone, so that asylum seekers can live in them? Asked Josie. The answer to this is stop them from coming in the first place, not to force people out of their homes. Yeah, I agree with that, Josie. The incident was seized upon by the Reform UK Party, whose candidate in Thursday's, February 15th, Wellenberg by-election, Ben Habib, heard about the couple. Mr. Habib, who is also the party's co-deputy leader, told Mail Online, "I was horrified to hear the plight of Mr. and Mrs. Sanders, but my horror could not comprehend to what they experienced last month. They were served with a letter from Northamptonshire's District Council seeking to possess their home. The accusations made was their home was derelict, and the council intended to use this home that used it to house single young men seeking asylum, known to the rest of us as illegal immigrants or migrants. I can confirm their house is most certainly not derelict. It was well appointed and cared for. They were distraught by the threat made by the council. They feared not having title deeds and being incapable of defending their position. It was not until they visited the council, and after much pleading, they managed to get the council to desist. Doesn't look derelict to me. It's tiny. It's utterly shocking that the council would fire off a letter like that to two elderly people, and to do so with the aim of buying a 200-pound house for asylum seekers. This from a council that is as good as bust and never filed consulate accounts since it was established in 2021. The local charity for homeless people, the Daylight Center, spent £650 per head per homeless person per year, thinking that the charity could do with £200, it would be able to provide care for over 300 British citizens. There is also veteran charities in constituents struggling to care for soldiers who risk life and limb for the countries. Instead of the money going to them, councils are preparing to blow it on housing, maybe for migrants, after forcing out of their home two elderly British citizens. Disgraceful. And the writing here is terrible. The council is run by the Tories. For all their chat about championing local issues, both the Tories and Labour are asleep about damage being wrought on Wellenberg by a failed council and a complete failure to police our territorial waters. Heads should roll and Sanders should be compensated. The only party capable of preventing this dystopia into which our country is sinking, is Reform UK. The Tories and the Labourers have lost the plot. Jason Smithers, leader of the Northamptonshire Council, told Mail Online in a statement, Northamptonshire Council, NNC, is working with owners of long-term empty properties to bring their property back into use. Why? Okay, why? Okay, why is it? Okay, you have an issue with migrants not being able to find homes. So? Doesn't mean you get to go and take someone else's home. Compulsory purchase orders are not utilized to current owners from their properties. Apparently it was. They are tools used as a very last resort to bring empty properties, which are of value and much needed housing resource, back into use. So if the owner doesn't want to be of use, fuck off. The empty property initiative letters were sent out in a bid to assist empty property owners to bring their property back into use. And on the whole, the support from the NNC was gratefully received. Since NNC formed in 2021, no properties has been purchased by CPO. This is a mechanism of last resort to bring problematic long-term empty properties back into use. Unfortunately, in this case, records held by NNC were outdated. Interesting. And the letter was incorrectly sent to a property which was occupied. For this, I'm very sorry for causing any undue distress and worry. Then maybe someone from the office, the council, should have gone up and verified each and every property that was listed if you're going to demand and potentially do a purchase of a property. Very weird. Very weird. That's what happens when you add more government, no less. All right. So, Scotland apparently has passed some new hate crime laws. From April 1st, Scotland's controversial hate crime law will come into force. Opponents described it as catastrophic for free speech, while advocates say it is a common sense solution to protecting some of the country's most vulnerable. It becomes such a flashpoint in the hot light rod of global culture wars that everyone from former richest man Elon Musk, Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling, and the Globe's most popular podcaster Joe Rogan have weighed in. Coverage of the bill has been such that Police Scotland felt forced to release a statement describing media reports as inaccurate, while Scottish First Minister Hussein Yousaf said journalists and commentators have been guilty of disinformation. The Hate Crime and Public Order Act essentially takes the current law against the stirring up of racial hate and extends that protection to other groups. Those protected characteristics are disability, religion, sexual orientation, age, transgender identity, and variations in sex characteristics. However, unlike the 1986 UK law on race, people must intend to stir up hate against the other groups. In the UK, a hate crime must be committed against a person on the grounds of race, even if the person did not intend to stir up hatred. Hate crime can be committed. Under the new law, to be found guilty of a hate crime, two tests must be met. A person must engage in behavior or communication that is perceived by a reasonable person to be threatening or abusive on the grounds of disability, religion, sexual orientation, age, transgender identity, and variations in sex characteristics. 2, a person must intend to stir up hatred on the basis of these protected characteristics. The law will apply to behavior and speech both in public and private, such as a person's home. That separates this law from previous legislation around hate crimes. Hate crimes. How about we just don't have hate crimes? The new law also gives harsher punishments for people convicted of crimes that are aggravated by prejudice. For example, if a person is assaulted because they have a disability, the crime of assault would be aggravated, but the prejudice around disability. A judge could take that into account when sentencing a criminal. A threat to free speech. Most of the pushback on the hate crime laws are surrounding concerns about free speech. Well, this is Scotland. They don't have free speech. The head of complaints for the Scottish police authorities, Katharina Casper, warned the act could have a chilling effect on freedom of expression. The Association of Scottish Police Superintendents warned the law could be weaponized by an activist fringe group, the left, across the political spectrum. SNP MP, I have no idea what that means, Joanne Shear agreed, claiming the law could be weaponized by trans right activists to silence and, worse than still, criminalize women who do not share their beliefs. Absolutely could. She said she was concerned about the part of the law which criminalized the stirring up of hatred against transgender identity. She said that offense was too vague and very widely drawn, and pointed to the law including those who cross-dress. There's no right not to be offended, she said. Police Scotland has committed to investigating every claim under the Hate Crime Act, despite no longer planning to probe every low-level crime, including some thefts. So apparently, theft is lower priority than the supposed hate crime. Michael Foran, a lecturer in public law at Glasgow University, said the act could be a threat to free speech depending on how police enforce it. In my opinion, it's a threat to free speech, regardless of enforcement or not. There are quite robust protections of freedom of expression in the bill itself, but there's concern here they will only enter into picture once someone has entered into a courtroom. He suggests Police Scotland could be overzealous in how they enforce the act. That was echoed by Rod D. Dunlop Casey, the Dean of Faculty of Advocate, who warned of danger of police being inundated with potentially trivial complaints by people who claim to have been insulted by something that's been said online. Some critical activists have expressed concerns that this could apply to them. Earlier this month, Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling, known for her views on women's and transgender rights, replied in a tweet suggesting the act could make it illegal to misgender someone. It came after she described a transgender woman as a man. If you genuinely imagine I delete posts calling a man, so as not to be prosecuted by this ludicrous law, stand by for the mother of all April Fool's jokes she posted to her 14 million followers on Twitter, formerly X. What? It's X, formerly Twitter. What are you fucking talking about? You liar! Deceiver! Oops, wrong one. Adam Tompkins, professor of public law at Glasgow University and former MSP, who was on a key Holy Rod committee, during the passage of the bill, said misgendering someone would not be a crime under the law. The real confusion about this new law is caused by the difference in that which is threatening and abusive on one hand, while may well be criminal, and that which is merely offensive, which is not criminal. What the new law is sometimes accused of doing, but what the law does not at all, is that criminalize offensive speech. If you're offended by what I say, that's not a hate crime. If I misgender you, even if I do it deliberately, that's not a hate crime because it's neither threatening or abusive. It might be upsetting to you. You might be angry with me, but it's not a criminal offense now, and it won't be a criminal offense after April 1st when this law comes into force, because it doesn't meet that all important threshold of threatening or abusive. Tompkins said, in his view, the risk of legislation is not that it aims to criminalize free speech, but it may be interpreted as such when it is being implemented. Properly understood, this legislation poses no risk to free speech, but I completely understand why not all commentators understand it properly because it's subtle and complex. Look, if a law is subtle and subtle and complex, it's not a very good law. Okay, you should be able to understand what the law intends and how to not break it. Okay, like if you go over the speed limit, you could get a ticket. Okay, like okay, that's not complex. So if you're touting a law is complex, it's not a very good law. And let's be honest, we've had laws where, oh, they're not gonna, do that, and they end up doing it. I can't think of anything right now. Don't ask me to. But like, if you don't think for a second that someone somewhere is going to end up being pulled in for a hate crime, like misgendering someone, you're a fucking idiot. Okay? You're an idiot. And guess what? If one person goes to a courtroom, even if it's dismissed, it's still bullshit. Okay? Like, it's so dumb. I would just not have hate crime laws at all. Okay? Just because you're black and I assault you doesn't make it any less of a crime just because you're black. Like, it's the hate crime laws are so dumb. Although entirely separate from the Hate Crime and Public Order Act, the new law has brought the policy of non-hate criminal instances to the fore. That's when a police force decides that after receiving an allegation of hate crime, they conclude no crime has actually been committed. However, they can keep a record of this file as a hate incident. Why? Like, why? What is important? If it's not a crime, why is it important to have a record of it? According to the Police Scotland law, according to the Police Scotland's Hate Crime National Guidance, HCNG, a hate crime incident is an incident which is perceived by the victim or any person to be motivated wholly or partly by malice and ill will towards the social group, but does not constitute a criminal offense, non-criminal incident. Okay, why is it important to have a record of this? A policy was brought to national prominence when it transpired that Tory MSP Murdo Fraser had an hate incident lodged against him after he compared identifying as non-binary to identifying as a cat in response to a government plan on equity. He also claimed Police Scotland's policy is illegal and has threatened to take the force to court if it does not delete this incident. But did he? Although this issue happened under Scotland's previous laws, critics of the Hate Crime Act say even more hate incidents will be logged as people feel empowered to report hate crimes against more groups. A spokesperson
In terms of incidents and hate crime incidents,
Okay. Let's see what this guy says.
it's important that they are recorded, because what it does is it gives police an idea of where there might be spikes in hatred. That behaviour might not be criminal, but they can then see a pattern that is simply done so police can see if there's a rise in anti-Semitism, for example, or a rise in homophobia.
But if they're not crimes, why is that important? If they don't warrant criminal acts, then why is it important?
Right across the country, it's important that police are able to monitor any patterns
Why?
of hatred that might emerge.
Why? Why is that so important? If you're not going to be able to do anything about it, okay, why is it important? Because you're not going to do anything until after. Okay, you're not going to do anything till after. After a crime has actually been committed, you're not going to do shit. Okay, you can't. Hopefully. A spokesperson for Scotland Yard said victim recording was important to monitor tensions within the communities and that hate incidents were not logged against perpetrators. Apparently, isn't true. According to Tory MSP Murdo Fraser. Apparently not true. Speaking to STV News on Monday, First Minister Usma Yusuf said he supported police recording non-criminal hate incidents. It's important that they are recorded because what it does is give police an idea of where there might be spikes in hatred. So, he said. So? Okay, there's spikes in hatred. So? You're not going to do anything until the crime actually happens. Okay? STV News understands that under Police Scotland's enhanced disclosure scheme, it is impossible, but considered unlikely for these hate incidents to be disclosed to employers. Bullshit! It's absolutely going to happen. Absolutely. All right. Why aren't women included in the act? Because now that we have transgenders, women aren't that important. There has been outrage among some women groups that MSPs decides to drop women as one of the protected characteristics in the bill. SNP MP Joanne Cherry said that the law leaves women unprotected from hate crimes despite being one of the most abused cohorts in society. Okay, whatever. Asked by STV News why it dropped women from the list, Scottish government said it planned to introduce bespoke legislation on sexism in society. Women, like everyone else, are already protected from threatening or abuse in law. Oh, so then what you're trying to tell us is this hate crime law is useless because they're already protected from threatening or abuse because everyone named is everyone else. What the fuck is this? We have a consultant on a misogyny bill, which will build on these general laws and create a new focus on protecting women and girls to address criminal behavior motivated purely by misogyny. Engendered, a women's rights charity, has consulted that was consulted on the making of Hate Crime Act defended the decision not to include women. Executive Director Catherine Murphy told STV News, "At first glance, it might seem appealing to expand hate crime aggravators to include sex as an obvious way to increase protections for women. However, in reality, hate crime models was not designed to address the nature and scales of gender-based violence, harassment women face in our society." She said that using hate crimes to address misogynistic violence against women was proven to be inadequate in other countries and could undermine more targeted efforts to address these issues. She added, through the Misogyny and Criminal Justice in Scotland Working Group, led by Baroness Kennedy, we advocate for a thorough examination of how the justice system should respond to misogynistic violence and harm. In 2022, the Scottish government committed to introducing detailed legislation to improve protections for women before the end of this parliament. Will comedians... How long is this goddamn article? Fucking hell. Fucking long ass article. Okay. Will comedians be targeted under the hate crime law or act? A report in Scottish newspapers that comedians would be targeted by police under the hate crime Crime and Public Orders Act went so viral it led a response from the world's richest man. Training material given to officers ahead of the new law coming in April 1st, Seen the Herald outlines the different ways in which a person might communicate material to another person. It goes on to use online streaming, emailing, playing a video, and public performance of a play as examples. We are aware of inaccurate media reporting about training material in place of the introduction of Hate Crime and Public Order Scotland Act 2021. Okay. In a statement, Police Scotland described reports suggesting new officers have been told targeting performers as inaccurate. Okay. The force said the examples were a range of scenarios where offenses might take place, and officers should not be told to target these situations or locations. Ahead of the statement, a right-wing influence has tweeted, "Police officers in Scotland are being given training to target social media posts, including retweets of materials deemed threatening and abusive. Under the country's new hate crime law, actors and comedians are not given a free pass to make jokes about sensitivity subjects that offend people either." Musk replied, "An example of why it's so important to preserve freedom of speech." The tweet seen more than 25 million times, according to Twitter/X, which the Tesla billionaire owns, and gained 114,000 likes. The news report also caught the eye of Joe Rogan, the most popular podcaster. You see that wild shit in Scotland where they target comedians with hate crime laws? He said on a podcast viewed millions of times. He suggests it could be a negative effect on the Edinburgh Festival, the world's largest arts festival and hallmark of many comedian careers. Police defended the training material, says Police Scotland is not instructing officers to target actors, comedians, or any other group of people or groups. Our training package has developed in close consultation with stakeholders to ensure all characteristics protected by legislation under the new act are clearly represented and articulated, and that officers are prepared when they respond to hate crimes and instances. All right, I'm done with this. This thing is fucking long as hell. I didn't think I'd be getting this far into it. I'm done. That article was super fucking long. I didn't think it'd be that long, but it's really fucking long. So that's the end of the show. I'm tired. But that's hate crime laws. So I mean, we'll see how it goes. I'm sure someone they're gonna end up getting so much freaking inundated calls of hate crimes by transgender people and all other people that are offended. Hate crime laws are stupid. They shouldn't be placed in the first place because what do they do? Nothing. They don't do anything. They don't help with anything. Okay. Like hate crime laws do nothing. Just because you assault someone who's black, white, gay, purple doesn't make the crime even worse just because like of their skin color or their sexual orientation. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, it's dumb. Hate crime laws are dumb, and I'm willing to bet most minorities don't care for them because what they want, they don't want to be they want to be included, not excluded. And by pointing out that they are that is far more hateful or far worse crime because of their sexual orientation, color of their skin, disability, whatever. That the crime is worse because of that excludes them from the rest of quote unquote normal society. And that's why a lot of minorities hate crime laws because they're stupid. I also it's dumb. Like hate crime laws are dumb. All right. So make sure you follow me on X at official W Ghost. Best way to find me is there. Okay. And then follow me on Rumble, rumble.com/withghost. It's the best way. Rumble is the last bastion of free speech. Make sure you be buying Rumble stock. It keeps going up. Well, it's not keep going up, but it's been fairly steady at $7 a share. And it used to be $6. Now it's been fairly steady at 7. What is it currently? Yeah, still at 7. 7.50 yesterday, 7 today. So, start buying some Rumble stock, all right? Because eventually it's going to go up. Rumble is going to be the new YouTube. This is what I believe, 100%. So buy it while the getting is good. Follow me on YouTube, youtube.com/@withghost, twitch.tv/officialwithghost, X. I already said X. All right. So follow me all there. Check out my gaming channel, rumble.com/gamingwithghost. And then YouTube, youtube.com/@officialgamingwithghost. All right. I hope you guys have a good day. Peace out and see you later. All right. Hold on. All right. I'll see you later.